Okay, good morning. Happy Friday. So you guys are going to join me. We're going to go over the Seattle real estate market. This is the old school stats class. I've done this a million times, so thank you for joining me. And what I'd like you to do is there are no bad questions. So as we talk through this together, feel free to add any questions here into the chat. I'll be watching that, and then I'll answer them as we go. So to get us going, well, first off, we're going to look at the Seattle real estate market, and please ask anything. Okay, so I want you guys to be talking to me about whatever you're seeing in the market. If you can hear me, sounds good. Somebody say something, post a comment, an emoji, somewhere in there. Okay, so what's happening in the Seattle Metro like right now specifically? So even with rates being around 7%, the market's still appreciating. Thank you, Todd. I appreciate it. Bidding wars are back. The buyer side's hard. Listings are going up. Inventory is low. And homes for sale is declining. Thank you, Corey. I appreciate it. Closed sales are slightly down, but what's really interesting is when we look at the pendings, and we'll dig through the data specifically right after this, is that the pendings are going substantially up. So what we expect there is that as those pendings are rising, of course, those are going to turn into closed deals next month. DOM, or days on market, is dropping. Showings to pending is down, but showings per listing are up. What that means is there's more competition for each one of the showings. As we know, currently, cash flow is difficult for our investors. Construction is awesome, but it is super expensive. And then anything that creates inventory, I believe, is going to be one of your opportunities as an agent, as an investor going forward in this market. So we're going to go through King County, and then I'm going to go through King County right here on the MLS also, so we can look at it together. So the average price in King County in this March of last year, of 2023, was $962,000. So now we're at basically $1,089,000, which is up 12.4% when we compare March to March. The average price in King County peaked in April of 2022 at 1.113759. So we're only 2.7% off the peak. Now let's go look at the numbers specifically. So I'm in InfoSparks, 3-year time frame, got this set to monthly, so we're looking at the actual data. Look at this right here. So we started the average price in King County at $957,000, and you can just see this jump vertically. Okay, this is the market heating up. So we started at $957,000. Like I said, we're at $1,089,000. The peak was back over here in April of last year at 1.1. So we're not that far off of the peak right now. Now let's look at median. Now the reason you look at average and median, as real estate brokers, I know we love average because it shows kind of a more wild range and it shows the higher numbers. But the problem with average is always affected by a higher cost sale or a low cost sale. So we also need to look at the median. The median price in King County was $750,000 in 2023. $849,000 this year, so it's up 13.3%. Would anyone have guessed that the median price in King County was going to be up 13% and that the average was going to be up 12.4%? I thought, and a lot of you who are my friends, you heard me say this, I thought because rates were so high, we were going to see mild appreciation this year. I was not expecting this level of appreciation to already start happening here in the spring market. So let's go back to the median. And then when we look at the median, the peak in 2022 was 879, so we're 3% off the peak. Okay, let's go and look at the median. You can see we peaked here, dropped all the way down to 720, And now we're all the way back up to 850. Has anyone made an offer on something in King County, and did you have a bidding war, or were you the listing agent? How many showings did you get on that particular property? Feel free to drop that right into the comments, because I'd like to see what you guys are seeing too. Now what I want to do is I want to work through just the rest of the King County stats. So if we look at new listings, we can see, and this is the natural part of the market, okay? December's a low, December's a low. So in December of 2023, King County got 813. Then we had 1,939 listings, 2,625 listings, and then 3,100. Toby, you're seeing multiple offers. Yeah, I feel like we're seeing that on most of our listings right now, as long as they're priced correctly. What's interesting is this new listing number is rising here in King. If you come to homes for sale, though, homes for sale is down versus last year, and definitely down since 2022. Your pending sales, though, so these are our future close sales. 27 offers in Kirkland. Holy Toledo. How many showings did you have with the 27 offers on that one in Kirkland? So this is what I meant when I said the pendings were shooting up dramatically. You can see that the pendings are 21% over where they were last year. And that'll start to show up as closed sales, because closed sales is still slightly down. But if the pendings are exceeding last year, of course, then our closed will start to trend up. DOM, aka days on market, I only like to look at the average there. You can see the average dropping down. You can see it was highest in January. Month supply, aka inventory. So we peaked out in September of last year at 2.3 months. And then you have to think about how in the market, and I wonder if you can hear that. That's the Marysville train going by. In the market, if you've got basically less than 6 months, you are in a seller's market. And if you have more than 6 months, you're in a buyer's market. And so at 1.6 months, we are in a hardcore seller's market with low inventory. With the pending shooting up and inventory rising slightly, once again, we expect the closed sales to trend up. I really like this one right here, this percent of original list price. You look at the average, the percent of original list price, this is a phenomenal stat for you to be able to see when the bidding wars are happening. So traditionally speaking, the NWMLS has about a 98% average list to sales price ratio of the original list price. So when you see this in December, right here, and King County was 96.4. It actually meant the buyers were getting deals at that moment. When you see the original list price start to trend up, so in January it's starting to get back to normal, and then all of a sudden in February it's 100. When it's trending up like this, it means that you are going to have bidding wars, and everyone is most definitely going to be overpaying. So the average person in King County paid 1.2% higher than list. So to think about that, if we just pull up our little calculator real quick, and we say, what was the average price? The average price was 1.089. Okay, so we grab our little calculator, 1,089,837 times 0.012. So the average person paid on average 13 grand more than list price last month in King County. Now I realize some of them paid a lot more. Oh, I see, you wrote one of the offers on it. Got it. Thank you, Vance. Appreciate you. Price per square foot, of course, starts to follow a similar trend that we see right here. I like looking at this one too, shows to pending. When you see shows to pending dropping, it's another indication that the market is speeding up. Shows per listing increasing, aka the average listing is now receiving more showings. Okay, now we're going to flip over to Snohomish County, then we'll quickly go into Pierce. But if you have any questions specifically about any of the data that we're looking at here, let me know. Or if we want to look at a specific city, and then if someone else is seeing, we actually got something under market. Well, how? Where? So one of the great things about this live stream is we've always shared with each other what our other people are doing. Okay. So let's look at Snohomish County. Snohomish County, average price last year in March, $722,000. This year, $776,000. So it's up 7.26%. So one of the things I want you to think about real quick is Seattle is the center of our real estate universe. And then Bellevue is also kind of one too. So every ring out from there, the market changes. So if Seattle's really just like super hot right in the center of that onion, then Snohomish County will be a little bit cooler. Then Skagit County will be a little bit cooler. Conversely, Pierce County will be a little bit cooler. Possibly Thurston County being a little bit cooler. So Snohomish County, average price peaked in May of 2022 at $848,000, and we're still 8% away from the peak. Now, if you remember, King County is basically 2 to 3% away from the peak, depending on how you measure it. So let's go in. Let's look at Snohomish County specifically. Okay, we click on sales price, click on average. You can see that same trend happening. The best deals were happening here in November, December. Then all of a sudden we hit January. Basically, January and February were pricing was essentially flat. And then all of a sudden, boom, shoots up. So 7.5% over last year, but the peak in Snohomish County is $848,000. That means if someone reaches out to you for a home they purchased in the beginning of 2023, they may actually be underwater right now. So just something to be thinking about. Okay, let's quickly look at the median. The median price in 2023 was $665,000. And once again, median means middle. Average is if I have 10 things, I add them up and then I divide. $715,000 in March. We're up 7.5%. The median price peaked at $775,000. We're about 8% away from the peak. Let's go look at the median real quick. Median is showing the same as your as the average. Okay, trending in an upward direction. It's basically the same price April and May of 2022. Now let's just work through the rest of the data real quick. Once again, if someone has a specific question, just drop it right in the chat. I'm happy to answer your questions. You can see new listings are up 11%. They're trending in upward direction, but they do this every year. This is a seasonality thing. As the spring market rolls through, inventory naturally rises. Always remember that. Homes for sale. Homes for sale's down. That's what's really interesting. So there's 20% less homes for sale. So when someone asks, is the market competitive? The market's highly competitive, even at 7% interest rates, because of this graph right here. There just being less homes for sale. Now looking at the pendings, same thing we saw in King County. They're just shooting straight up. So they're up 28.3% over March of last year. Once again, that will start to show up in the next graph, the closed sales, because closed sales are down March versus March, but then that will start to pick up. So one of the things for my real estate brokers to be thinking about, and for my investors to be thinking about, is a couple things here. One, real estate agents, what this means to you is it means you're going to see a 15 to a 30% lift in the market because the market is currently trending up. Now, the thing to understand is that does not apply equally. So the 80-20 rule will always come in here. And what that means is that the agents who show up daily will get their unfair share. Now I want to flip it over and think like an investor. When we're thinking like an investor and looking at this graph, this means that competition is heating up. I'm going to have to pay more in an already pinched environment because the high interest rate is pinching our cash flow today. Let's go back and look at days on market. Okay, days on market. I don't like looking at the median. I like looking at the average. I think it's more real life. You can see January we peaked at 39 days on market. We're down to 25 on average. As this inventory continues to get zapped up, you'll see this number decline as long as demand stays high. Now, one thing that's keeping demand high, internal temperature, allow it to cool. Okay. The camera didn't like that. It crashed. Oh, well. The stream is still going. The one thing that could cause this days on market or inventory to change would be a change in interest rates. So if interest rates were to rise dramatically, you could see inventory rise, and you could see days on market also start to rise. So let's go look at the months of supply. 2 seconds. Let's see if that turns it back on. Bum, bum, bum. Corey, thank you. I'm good at answering the questions before. Well, and type them in for whatever it is that you come up with, sir, and I'm happy to answer them. Let's look at the percent of original list price. So you see this same trend happening. So the best deals were happening in the latter part of the year, okay, with technically December 97.2. Basically, back in January, we were getting right back to kind of average. Then all of a sudden, February, we were exceeding, and then exceeding even more in March. So when you see this happening, something to be thinking about next year, or as you're watching this list to sales price ratio for your investors or for your buyers or even your sellers, a couple things to be thinking here. One, if they're a buyer that's barely qualifying and they're going to need closing costs, as this starts to trend up, they will be able to get less closing costs and less things paid for. So you could show them, hey, you want to be buying in the beginning of the year. Also, for the investor who's trying to get a good deal, well, the good deals, we actually just missed them. They were in the end of fourth quarter of 2023. For the seller, this is a two-sided thing. One, they may end up with a higher sales price, but there's also more competition entering the market. So that seller has to decide versus higher sales price versus more competition. And if they're then purchasing a home, is now the right time because they're going to have to pay more as the market continues to heat up. P.S. I think we're in peak spring right now, and it probably will get a little bit hotter over the next 2 months, but the market usually starts to slow down by about June. Toby. Of all the buyers that have been waiting for the percent to drop now, we will need to think about writing low appraisal contingencies. 1,000% correct. The 22 AR is something that's being included, and that's what you're seeing when you look at these list to sales price ratios, is you're seeing, it's appraised. These are appraising for more, and they're closing at higher values. So whether the appraiser took the comp or the buyer spread the difference in cash, this is definitely a dialogue we need to be having. Okay, price per square foot showing the same trend. Shows to pending, trending down, aka the market heating up. Shows per listing rising, aka the market also heating up. Okay, last but not least, we are going to go into Pierce County. Let's not leave poor Pierce County out. So Pierce County, In March of 2023 was 560,000. 24, 571,000. It's up basically 2%. This goes back to the same thing that we just said. Seattle's the center of our real estate universe. As you scoot out from those rings, you get more affordability, but you're also not getting the same level of price appreciation, because look how King County appreciated the highest. Snohomish County was second highest, and now we've got Pierce County, barely appreciating 2%. From the peak in July of 2022 was 614,000. We're approximately 7% from the peak. Let's quickly look at the median. The median in 2023 for Pierce County in March was 508. And this year, it's 520,000. So we're up when you look at the median, 2.4%. The median peaked in May at 560,000. We're 7.4% away from that peak. So let's go in here. Let's look at Pierce. Once again, if anyone has anything that is a question, feel free to drop it into the chat. And then thank you all for hanging out with me. If you can click on the like button and subscribe, I would super duper appreciate that. What's interesting when you look at Pierce County relative to King and Snohomish County, really this is kind of flat through here. Because the market there didn't appreciate as much, it didn't have as far to fall. So when it rises slower, it doesn't fall as fast. That's why King County fell the most. Let's also look at the median. So median peaked at 560, hit a low of 485, back to 520 right now, and 2.4 over what it was last year. Let's look at new listings. Same trend, new listings slightly down. Homes for sale, slightly down. Pendings are up though. But closed sales are slightly down. What's interesting in Pierce County is the pendings are not up as much as they are in Snohomish County or King County. So I don't expect closed sales to trend higher in Pierce County. It's just not, it's not in as high of demand as King and Snohomish. Days on market peaked at 45, dropped to 38. Months of supply of pending, okay? Still a hardcore seller's market, just like King County, just like Snohomish County. The percent of original list price, they are also seeing the bidding wars. Look at that. Shows to pending. Okay. Heating up slightly, but still not as hot as King and as Pierce. Now, one thing I want to do is I want to look at the entire MLS. So the entire MLS represents, 80% of Washington state. So this is just quickly looking at the whole state. When you quickly look at the whole state, you can see the average price peaked in May, which, happened for most of them at 778,000. We hit a bottom of 635. This is the market, that kind of natural seasonality right there in June of last year. January of this year being a low of 668. And now we're back to 752 or 10% over last year. Now, the thing to realize is a lot of these sales are happening specifically in King County. So King County is heavily weighing on this data overall. New listings for the entire MLS, up slightly, 4%. Homes for sale, okay. We still are not back at some of these peaks. And when you go back and look like 5 years, you can see in 2019, we had much more homes for sale. Now watch this when we go 10 years. Let's go max. So the thing that's really interesting here is this was the last great boom, 2006. And then all of a sudden you go into the recession, 2007, 8, and 9, and you see all this inventory build up, which creates all these homes for sale. And then ever since then, it's just trended down, 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 down. One of the reasons for that is we did not build enough homes here in Washington State to keep up with population in 2008, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And the camera didn't like it again. Okay, so let's go months of supply, drop it back to 3 years. You can see the entire MLS is still in a hardcore seller's market, 2.2 months. Percent of original list price, 98.9, the entire MLS. That's basically just the quick version of stats, us digging through the numbers. Does anyone want to dig through a city, a county, a zip code, and look at that quickly? Or does anyone have any questions about investors, buyers, sellers? What can I do to help you while we're hanging out together looking at real estate statistics? Anything else before we run away today? The moral of the story when we look at all of this is real simple to kind of summarize. And are builders bullish today? Yes, Toby, builders are extremely bullish today because when you look at this low inventory, okay, I'm going to add this into the stage real quick. And let's go look at Snohomish County just for example. And we come over here and look at month supply of pending. When you have 1 month worth of supply available, what that is basically saying is if a builder can get the product to the market in a timely fashion, they will get a sale. Also, with the original list of sales price going up, this is helping builders to be bullish. Currently, I am hunting for actually quite a few builders right now. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to fill up their 2025 and their 2026 pipelines. So not only would I say they're bullish, I would say that they're working on filling their future pipelines today. Dana 98271, no problem. Let's go there real quick. Okay, so in the 98271. So when you go down to the zip code level, realize this is kind of what happens. The data starts to pop all over. What you can do is you can come over here and you can turn this into a rolling average and you can smooth out the data. So there's 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, okay? But moral of the story is if you're looking just since the end of the year, you'd say 98271 is starting to trend in an upward direction. You would say listings are slightly higher. Homes for sale is half of what it was last year. Pending sales are up 31%. So if a seller says in the 98271, is today a good day to list my home? You would say, you would literally go, absolutely. There's 50% less homes and the homes are selling for more than list price. Let's go. Closed sales, slightly down. Days on market, 30, but trending in a downward direction. Months of supply, less than 1 month of supply. A hot market. Percent of original list price, 98.2. Okay. Toby, yes to investors. Where do we find a great BRRRR, or do they exist in today's environment? That is a great question, sir. I think in today's environment, there's only a few ways that we're going to find something that we could BRRRR. You're going to find it on the MLS as a hidden gem, and it's not going to be right when it came on the market. It's going to be sitting on the market for a period of time. You're going to call, get in a relationship with them, open up negotiations, and build a deal that way. Second, you're going to find it through your sphere of influence, friends, family, things like that. Third, you're going to be able to find that from cold calling, door knocking. You need to find something. So if market value is, let's make up a number. If market value is 100 grand, you need to find something at like 65% of that. So 65 grand in this example, where you could create enough value to be able to burr out of it. It's very hard in our market to do that. Vance, forecast for new construction. My man, new construction. So if we go into add to stage, if we go into Snohomish County real quick, and once again, you could do this in any county. I'm just going to use Snohomish as the example. Snohomish. My MLS is confused. It's just spinning. What you can do, though, is you can come over here. Oh, there we go, county. You can come over here and you can select just new construction. So we can look at that data specifically. Then we come over here and look at sales price. You can see that new construction is trending in an upward direction. It was flat for a little while and then started to trend up. Of course, it peaked like everyone else back in May. Peaked at basically $1,055,000 and now it's $953,000. Here's where you want to look, though. You want to look at new listings. So new listings are up right now in new construction. Homes for sale is way down, though, 38%. So what that's telling you when you see that it's down 38% like that, that's telling you a supply gap is coming in the new construction side. Pending sales up 42%. Closed sales down a little bit versus last year. Percent of original list price trending over 100. So when I look at this, Vance, what this is telling me is that we have massive opportunity in new construction right now. And those of you that have been, listening to the podcast or to my investor classes or anything of that nature, you'll know I am extreme bullish on new construction, land development, land, flipping a home right now, DADUs, ADUs, anything, putting a manufactured home on land, anything that creates that inventory, I am extreme bullish on. Corey, what kind of properties have the most turnover right now? If you're looking for turnover, what you would do is, let's get out of new construction. You can come and you can start to look. You can basically, I'm going to add this to the stage again. You can look in these price ranges. And without even going through and looking at it, Corey, I can tell you the highest turnover is happening in the affordable price ranges. So what that means when I say that, if we're looking at the sales price, if the sales price for Snohomish County was just $776,000, anything that's basically going to be kind of that like 800 and below is going to have a higher turnover rate than the above 800. And the reason for that is if the average price is that 776,000, everywhere you go down from there, more buyers qualify, which will increase the turnover rate. P.S. You can use the map tool inside of here to go look at specific neighborhoods if you want to figure out the turnover rate for that specific neighborhood. Yes, Vance, builders. Yes, sir. Builders need inventory. So this week I've been working on a 102 lot assemblage. We're meeting with 9 sellers that are all right next to each other. And the sellers all said, well, why today? Why now? Like, doesn't the economy suck? And I said, yes, the economy is okay. But you have to realize real estate is good, inventory is low, and what these builders and developers are doing today is they're trying to plan out their 2026 and 2025, late 2025 pipelines. So I think any buildable lots that you can find will just be gobbled up. In the last 3 weeks, I have talked to 11 different builders. They would all buy anything right now. One of them told me a story, Vance, specifically how he backed out of a project and it was only a 2-lot short plat just to have another guy come in behind and pay $100,000 more when he didn't think the numbers would work. So one thing that is happening to these builders is their margin is being compressed because of these bidding wars that are happening right here. Because everyone is willing to overpay, and that includes overpaying for land too. And yes, Vance, it was a infill lot, so thank you for asking. But most of them would love to not have infill, and they'd love to get the regular single family lots. However, there's also been massive demand for the townhome. I sold 2 townhome projects in the last 2 weeks. They just closed. While we're on together, anyone else, any questions, anything else that I need to answer for you today so that when you leave, you were like, this was the best use of my time. I got what I was looking for. Any other markets we should look at? Any other questions or comments on things that you are feeling or you are seeing? Bueller. Okay. Your talking points or your summary. Even with rates being up, the market's appreciating. Bidding wars are back. The buyer side is tough. Expect to overpay. Inventory is low. Homes for sale is declining, but closed sales, even though they're down slightly, the pendings are up. So the days on market is going down, shows to pending is going down, which means the buyer has to be quick on the trigger. The investor has to be quick on the trigger. And I think we've got massive opportunity in that new construction space. Oh, we got another question. Lynn, what do you think off-market percentages will be for 2024 versus 2025 moving forward? Wholesale, general off-market sales, etc. Lynn, this is a phenomenal question. I think with the NAR settlement, you are going to see more off-market transactions happen. For people like me who've always hunted off-market deals, I'm in love with this idea because every year between 20 to 30% of my business comes from off the MLS. So I expect off-market deals to increase. I don't know the percentage, but I would expect them to increase. And then 2, I expect the buyer competition to stay extremely high over the next few years because of this lock-in effect. The lock-in effect, for those of you that don't know, is when the Federal Reserve went through this ZIRP era, aka the zero interest rate era. Mortgages came down to between 3%. Some people even got 2% on the low side. What that means is a vast majority of housing has a mortgage that is currently below 4%. So what it's doing is it's keeping this lock-in effect happening where that inventory is not going to come to the market. And I don't expect that inventory to come back to the market until interest rates get into the low 5s for us to kind of get back to 2017, 2018, 2019 levels of sales. On a national average right now, we are trending at around 4 million sales. And the peak was about 6.2. And when we looked at our sales data here, so if we look at closed sales specifically in Snohomish County, so watch this. If we just go back 5 years, Closed sales in March of 2024, 748. March of 23, 884. March of 2022, 1,273. March of 21, 1,256. So you can see that in some cases we were almost double what we were before. This is a 10-year run. So if you look at this March is in line with like March of 2014 is over it. Holy Toledo. It's in line with March of 2011. That's how much sales have slowed down. Todd, the Dutesman, he wants to take a quick look at Skagit. I am here for you, bro. We will look at Skagit. Okay, let's go into Skagit County. Let's look at sales price. So it's really funny when people talk about, people watch YouTube, they watch TikTok, they read the media headlines, and they say it's gotta crash. Then we look at Skagit County, and this is nothing but up and to the right. Even this slight down, that we had there in 2022, this trend is still up and to the right. So the crash is not happening anytime soon. Let's bring this into our 3-year run. Oh, let's drop it to 1. Skagit's pretty flat. I mean, look at that. Pretty flat. So I think this 3-year or 3-month average is kind of starting to show you what's happening. Had that peak of 595,000 in average price in September of 2022. Then last year we peaked in July at 566, cooled down for the winter. It kind of always naturally cools down for the winter, so just understand that. And then now we're at 570, which is approximately 7% over March of 2023. New listings, about the same. Homes for sale, down almost 10%. Pending sales, down still 11. This is interesting, Todd. Skagit County is not doing as well as Snohomish and as King. Closed sales, down 15.4. Dom, days on market still trending up. Average days on market, 58. Months of supply, 2.5 months. Percent of original list price, 96. Shows to pending, down slightly. Showing per listing, 3.6. Oh, interesting. So the average showing is getting 3.6, the average listing is getting 3.6 showings, but it takes 10 to make it pending. That's just that lack of demand. Philip, are you serious or are you joking around? We ain't joking around. No, we ain't joking around. And yes, sir, Mr. Travis, to Skagit we go for some deals. We have a couple projects going up there for that exact reason. Okay. Anyone else? Do you have any data that you wanted to go through or something that you wanted to look at? I appreciate all of you for hanging out with me. Unless someone else has a final comment, question, or a piece of data that they would like to go through. And all of you that are on, hey, please click that like button, subscribe, and let's keep having conversations about real estate. I love all of you. Oh, lack of inventory. Where, Todd? The whole market has a lack of inventory. So this lack of inventory is not being fixed because we don't have enough new construction happening. That's what's creating this opportunity in the new construction and land development space. That lack of of new construction is here to stay. This is unfortunately one of those fundamental facts. During the Great Recession, we built way less homes than we normally do in the Seattle metro. And so in 2008, 9, 10, 11, and 12, we were about 20 to 30% of our normal capacity. Therefore, we're about 2.5 years behind, maybe 3.5, depending on how it's measured, here in the Seattle metro, which means prices will keep rising, and there's opportunities for us as investors in the builder-developer space. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Vance. Everyone, I'm going to end on this, so I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. And then, yes, Corey, we will be doing this more often. I will schedule this again for sometime next month so we can all go through the data together. Thank you, everyone.